and I will strike down upon thee with great vengeance and furious anger.
Greetings, comrades, call me bad. I love the Saw film series, I really do. I love this franchise for revolutionizing the horror genre, for the interesting characters, for the incredible man-linear and branched narrative and switching between different timelines, for the design of the death machines, and every time when I hear this...
Hello, do you want to play a game?
Or this... Oh yeah. But most of all, I love John Kramer, also known as the Jigsaw Killer, a unique killer that doesn't kill anyone. Well, technically, forcing someone to do something against their will what ultimately becomes the cause of death, that's a constructive manslaughter, which is also a murder.
Not listening. Not listening.
And his philosophy is also unique. He placed people who didn't value their own life or the life of others in conditions where they had to make a sacrifice in order to rethink the value of life. Live or die.
Make your choice.
But, as we know, nothing lasts forever. The death of the Saw franchise began on October 27, 2017, and the excruciating death throes continued until May 14, 2021. But is the great franchise really dead? Let's find out. The film starts with fireworks. And just like a magician uses sleight of hand to distract the audience and do his magic, this guy steals this woman's purse while everyone is watching at the fireworks. But don't worry, there's a cop who's going to save the situation.
Oh shit, here we go again.
The thief escapes into the sewers. The brave cop decides that calling for a backup is for pussies, and he goes down there alone. And what a surprise, the man in the pig's mask renders him unconscious. The policeman wakes up trapped, his hands tied with concertina wire, his tongue trapped between two rebar, and there's a bolt screwed into his tongue that won't let the cop free himself without ripping it out. And then we hear this.
Hello, Detective Boswick. I want to play a game.
And you know what this reminds me of?
Oh, what is this, a tag team?
You're a dead man, Ramsey.
No wonder you guys never talk.
After terrifying voice of John Kramer or Detective Hoffman that we've heard from those old TVs or a cassette player, I just can't take this seriously. Whatever. The piggy tells the detective that he wants to play a game. Because Detective Boswick used to lie, deceive and railroad innocent people. And now he has to rip out his tongue if he wants to stay alive, because there's a train arriving in 2 minutes.
Take a leap of faith and you will live.
I don't understand why the detective is so indecisive. Why is he so afraid to lose his tongue? He doesn't use it anyway, otherwise he would have called the goddamn backup. The train arrives and kills the railroading detective.
Come on, motherfuckers, come on. Yeah. Come on, motherfuckers, come on. Come on, motherfuckers, come on. Release the brainstorm.
And I have something to say about this trap. With this kind of trap, the cop would have been already dead, because he wouldn't be able to stand on his feet being unconscious, and he would fall. Of course, falling off a chair doesn't kill anyone. Well, sometimes it does, but that's not my point. Right before he was hit by the train, he took a leap of faith, and as we can see, he ripped out much more than just his tongue. Just imagine how much bleeding such a wound would cause. And what's important, where all that blood would go? Exactly, right down his throat. And even if he managed not to choke on his own blood, he would have bled out before he could reach the exit. You may say, but in the Middle Ages people loved to rip out the tongues of those who lied, slandered, or could have said something that should have remained unsaid. And those people survived. Yes, they couldn't speak and had trouble swallowing saliva, but still. Those people survived because the tongue was cut off, not pulled out. And after that, the wound was cauterized in order to keep the victims alive.
Yeah, boy.
So as you can see, Detective Bousman had no chance to survive this trap. Actually, he might have had a chance. He could have cut the tip of his tongue with the razor wire. In that case, he might have survived and he would have had a cool snake tongue. And then follows one of the best scenes in the movie. Gangsters have a Tarantino-style conversation.
Copycat, you can't say retarded. You gotta say special needs. I'm trying to be respectful. Forrest Gump with special needs, man.
And it even reminded me this.
What the fuck was I talking about? So True Blue was about a guy, sensitive girl who meets a nice guy, but like a virgin was a metaphor for big dicks. Okay, let me tell you what like a virgin.
And even though it's rather unusual to see Chris Rock in this kind of movie, he's good, yeah. And you know, that's even a little unfair. Because Chris Rock is the type of person that can make any movie better. So these guys go to the next hotel room, take everything. Then they go to the exit, jump into a Mustang and...
Zeke, is that you?
Zeke, that's the name of the main character, and of course he's not just an ordinary criminal. He's a cop, and he was doing an undercover operation.
You do an undercover op, you don't clear it, there's no coordination.
No coordination? I'd say that's a fucking great coordination. And you know, I'd rather watch Zeke go undercover and become a member of that gang. That would be an interesting movie. Zeke works alone, and he cannot trust anyone, because 12 years ago he turned in a dirty cop. How's that related? Anyway, what we got here is a typical police story about a cool, experienced cop who's forced to work with a trainee. So, this is Detective William Schenk, Zeke's new partner. He has a family, a wife and a son, and the main reason why he decided to work in the police is retired chief of the police Marcus Banks, Zeke's father. They go to the crime scene and, of course, like any black cop, Zeke has a cool car. On the way there they discuss marriage, women, the hard life of a detective, and we find out that Zeke is going through a divorce. They arrive at the crime scene and the only clue is that the victim was married and wore a Fitbit. But when they return to the station, Zeke receives a package with a USB flash drive inside it. There's a video on it where the copycat, or whoever he is, tells that he wants to help reform the Metro Police and he wants to play a game. Because all these cops are corrupt and they forgot their oath.
I'm here to help reform the Metro Police.
Luckily, Zeke recognizes the building.
I recognize that building. It's the courthouse.
There they find Detective Bousman's lying tongue.
What is that?
And this fact drives everyone insane. They fight, they argue. Only Zeke and Captain Angie take it seriously. But Zeke could have taken it a little more seriously.
I know some of you guys think I'm a rat. Some of you think I'm a snitch. Some of you are mad I fucked your mother.
Then they visit Bousman's wife to pay their respects. That's Zeke's wife, by the way. Then he comes home and... Remember I said that Chris Rock in the cast was a little unfair? Now this is a fucking cheating. I won't lie, Samuel Jackson is probably my most favorite actor. And I scream like a little bitch every time I see him in a movie. So they have a little family talk.
I saw you out front the other day. You nodded at me like we were the only two black guys in the mall.
I bet this line was written by Chris Rock. Yep, Zeke's father also drives a cool muscle car. Flashback.
A dirty cop.
Then a lot of things happen. These two are checking surveillance footage at a store near the parade site. And now they have a suspect. Shank's phone died.
Let me borrow your phone, shut up.
Okay.
Thank you.
Zeke's unable to watch porn for 5 hours straight.
I've been staring at this shit for 5 hours. I don't even look at porn that long.
You're pathetic.
Chief Banks, what the hell are you doing here? You have a dinner with your son tonight. Detective Fitch goes alone to an abandoned building.
You alright?
Oh, now you're gonna call somebody for help, when you're already fucked up. It's the same as... Go to the bathroom, sit down on the toilet, take a shit, take off your pants. You've had a plan, but you shit yourself anyway. Bravo. Zeke comes home, but as we already know, his father's not there. Another flashback from the time when Zeke turned in a dirty cop.
How the fuck fuck could you not call me first?
I tried, but you didn't answer.
So now Chief Banks has to make a statement, and then follows the best scene of this movie.
Are you in?
I'm sorry, but I think your face was trespassing on my property.
Another package and another video.
Salvation was offered, but it was declined.
They arrive at the bridge, and if you think that Zeke is an idiot because he takes the package with his bare hands and only after that he puts on gloves, you're wrong. Click Orlando.com. A viewer recently asked, I've seen police officers touch the back of vehicles right before they approach a car on a traffic stop. Why did they do this? Trooper Steve said the method is used for two primary reasons. The first reason is to make sure that the trunk is closed. It may sound a little crazy, but you want to make sure that no one is about to jump out of the trunk and that it's properly secured. See? He wanted to make sure that the package was closed and that no one is about to jump out of it. Safety first. The second reason isn't as obvious. Touching the rear of the vehicle puts the officer's fingerprints on that car, showing that he or she was there with it. Trooper Steve said, in case the driver decided to flee the scene or if something happened to that officer, it ties both, the vehicle and the officer together. Exactly. There was no guarantee that there were enough cops to confirm that Zeke actually took that package. So he had to make sure. Another flashback reveals that back in those days when Chief Banks was chief of the police, Zeke got shot because when he tried to call backup...
Requesting backup.
Fuck him.
Okay, watching how angry Samuel Jackson scares the shit out of these cops, that's the second best scene in the movie.
I'm gonna call dispatch and find out who was closest available. And when I do, I'm gonna take this gun and shoot that motherfucker.
Then we see how Fitch died.
You murdered a man because he insulted you.
What the fuck? He shot the guy because he showed him the middle finger? I would understand if he threatened him somehow, but that's a very lazy way to show that the character is a bad guy. How do such mentally unstable people even get into the police? And what does it look like?
Why do you motherfuckers want to work in the police?
To railroad innocent people.
To kill innocent people.
To protect and serve.
Motherfucker! Nani?
Okay, Fitch dies, of course he dies. He had no chance, cause there wasn't enough time. The mechanism pulls the cables too slowly. So...
Danger, danger! High voltage!
Anything special about the bridge where we found the fingers?
It was where he shot that kid.
Wait, what? You knew that Fitch killed that guy, but he wasn't fired and he didn't go to jail? How did he explain that he had to use his weapon? Like he thought the guy had a gun, but it turned out it was something else?
You don't have a weapon. Then how do you explain that? What's that?
That's not a weapon, that's my dick.
I want you to prove to me that that's not a weapon, because I think that's a weapon, sir.
Okay.
Now they're going to check some drug dealer who sells meth to the guy Boswick was last seen with. And this scene is here to remind us that we have a hilarious comedian star in here, cause this shit is funny, to be honest. The junkie disappeared.
I seen a bitch in 2 days, man. On the streets of motherfucker OD'd.
After having a lunch, they go to Pete to ask him a couple of questions. Pete is the guy that shot an innocent witness.
Witness this cop throw the victim off a rooftop.
I'll testify, Officer Dunleavy.
The witness pulled a gun on you?
Yeah, I'm also shocked that almost every cop in this movie is a fucking maniac. And I'm also shocked that Pete went to jail for 9 years for his crimes. They should have scolded him and let him go, shouldn't they? Right, Fitch?
Fuck you.
Zeke's a little worried about his father, but hey, he's a big boy, he's gonna be alright. Shank's also missing. The next morning, a deaf courier brings another package to the department.
I'm calling the bomb squad.
Angie, you're the head of the department.
We got 2 dead cops, there's no time.
No time? There's a good chance that you might have a whole police station of dead cops if you open that box. Okay, they were smart enough to evacuate everyone from the building. In the box they find... Also, there is a note.
While you're looking for more bodies to drop, I'll take your head.
And
This is my son, Charlie.
quick as the wind, they fly to Constantine Paints and find their Detective Shank, who had a fight with a predator, because what else it could be? That's not even a trap. Is this the best you could come with? Zeke is so shocked that now, in addition to the copycat, they will have to catch the ugly motherfucker that he's having a heart attack.
Really all singing, all dancing crap at the world.
It's called a changeover. The movie goes on, and nobody in the audience has any idea.
Would you ever consider running for president?
I mean, okay. All right, listen. At this point, anybody could be the president. Listen.
Okay, he's fine, but you know who isn't? The cop who was attacked by a guy in a pig's mask.
He runs up on me with a knife.
So he stabs your arm and just takes off. I'll take your head. Angie, you're the head of the department. Ah, fuck!
Meanwhile, Angie went to check some case file because Marcus Banks texted her. I bet he's the copycat. Yeah, I'm 100% sure he is. Down the basement, she meets the copycat himself. Point the gun at the jerk in the pig's mask, woman! Kill the bastard! Hey! What are you doing? Oh, now I get it. Angie knows that the Predator and the copycat work together, and she knows that the Predator doesn't kill unarmed. So she was hoping that the copycat follows the Predator's warrior's code, and she decided to unarm herself by spending all the ammo in her gun. Smart move, Angie, but unfortunately that won't help you. Yep, you're right, that son of a bitch built the trap right in the basement of the police station. I wonder what it looked like when one of the cops entered the basement and saw the copycat building the trap. What are you doing, sir? I am building a wax smelter. What's the purpose of this wax smelter? Is it part of some kind of death machine to kill cops? Huh? No, this is for making your wax statue because you're a handsome guy. Fuck yeah! Could you make me a wax statue of Sergeant Abby Callahan from Police Academy?
Now, who's gonna save me? Oh yeah!
I need it for... I got you, bro. Let me know if you need anything. Have a nice day. Now my theory that the copycat and the Predator work together doesn't sound so fantastic, right? Because only an invisible creature could accomplish such a thing. Okay, the Predator used his invisibility device, but how did this freak leave the building unnoticed? There's too many questions. Angie's in a trap because...
You have covered up corruption in your department, never sticking your neck out for the innocent.
Angie! I thought you, Zeke, and his father were the only incorruptible cops in this movie. I'm very, very disappointed in you.
The only way to stop yourself from being suffocated is to sever your spinal cord.
Angie dies like the others who played the game, because the trap was designed so that the victim had no chance to survive, and there's no mechanism to determine that the spinal cord was severed.
Hurry up! Shit!
Wait, Vincent Jules? Vincent Jules? Ladies and gentlemen, you're looking at one of the most meaningless references in the history of cinema. That's a nice touch, but what's the point? Because Samuel Jackson starred in Pulp Fiction. After Chris Rock tried to drill a hole in the camera with his overly serious face, he goes to check the security footage, but someone deleted 13 minutes of it. O'Brien suspects Zeke's father because he's missing and he still has access to the system for some reason. But as we know, this guy is a...
bad motherfucker.
But not a bad guy. Then Zeke comes to church to confess that several people in the cinema had a heart attack from this. But... Okay, let's watch Samuel Jackson a little more and move on to the finale.
You wanna play games, motherfucker?
Zeke wakes up. He's handcuffed to a pipe. and it looks funny.
Oh, hell no!
The guy with the bag on his head is Pete.
Can you stand on the sidelines while justice is finally served?
The machine turns on and starts throwing bottle shards that pierce Pete's flesh, metal, concrete walls, aluminium trash can and cast iron water pipes. If kaiju ever attack us, we will not build ridiculous giant robots. We will use this ultimate weapon against them. Zeke tried but couldn't save Pete. He enters the next room and... oh my god, Shank... okay, that's not a surprise, it was obvious that he's the copycat. Okay, here's the deal. Shank is the son of the guy Pete killed. He used a junkie to lure Boswick into a trap, then he skinned him, and it was his corpse that we've seen in that shop. Sorry dude, this isn't another crossover. Shut up. Okay.
What about your son?
I don't have a son.
Remember when his phone died? He borrowed Zeke's phone, texted his father, and blocked the contact. Why don't you tell us how you built a trap in the basement and got away unnoticed? And now Shank wants to work with Zeke because he's the best police officer in the department.
You're Metro's finest.
Yeah, a very smart cop that had no clue that everyone in the department was a corrupt piece of shit, including his close friend Boswick.
You want me to help you kill cops?
Just the bad ones.
Okay.
Oh, that was easy.
Hello? I'm at the old soap factory on Madigan Lane. There's a crazy guy with a gun.
In the next room they find Chief Banks and Jesus Christ, I knew this guy's tough, but he's already lost about 2 gallons of blood and he's still alive and hasn't even passed out. Zeke, while you're chatting with Shank, you could have pulled the needles out of your father's veins, you know, so that he won't die?
Shank says that Chief Banks worked under Article 8. The streets got cleaner, but the cops got dirtier. Chief Banks and Angie were covering all the dirty cops.
Shank gives him a choice. He has only 1 round in his gun. He can shoot the target and save his father, or he can kill Shank. And while Zeke is deciding, do you hear this music?
Clock's ticking, man. Think fast.
Do you know what's wrong with it?
In the original franchise, this music was played at the very end, when everything was revealed to the main character. It was the moment of truth. The character and the audience got goosebumps from the realization of how global and complicated the game was. All the decisions had already been made long before that, and this feeling is fantastic.
But it doesn't work here. We already know everything about the game, about Shank, and it just doesn't make sense. Zeke decides to save his father.
Shank is trying to get away. The SWAT team cuts the cable and starts the machine, while these two start to fight. The cables make Chief Banks look like he has a weapon. The SWAT team kills him. No one gives a fuck that the guy who's responsible for all this is getting away. The end. So, is the Saw franchise dead? Yes, definitely. But you know what? Remember when the Fast and the Furious were movies about street racing and gangs? But now it's a competition whose bald head is cooler. I don't like the Fast and the Furious movies since Tokyo Drift, but I cannot deny that this is a very successful and profitable franchise. And maybe now we are witnessing the birth of a new franchise. But what about the original movies? Rest in peace, old friend.
Conclusion. I like this film, but only for the camera work, good picture and the cast.
Yes, Chris Rock sometimes overacts, but he has a little experience in such roles.
He was good and it was interesting to watch him act. Samuel Jackson is great as always. Max Minghella really surprised me. He could be a great antagonist, but maybe in the next movie. That's all for today. May the force be with you, comrades.